All right, let's talk about how to make sure that your sketch is fully constrained, at least fully constrained in the sense that the portion that's going to connect to another piece is truly locked in terms of its dimensions and its location, so its size and its location. So this looks like a pretty complete sketch. It's got a lot of dimensions. One tip, you want to actually remove your dimensions from the car as much as possible. And you want the smaller dimensions to be closer to the car, not farther away, because when you put the smaller dimensions farther away, lines cross. So I'm going to take this sketch that's very good and clean it up a little bit, just for the sake of clarity. So again, as much as possible, you want to take dimensions off the sketch, okay? And you want to remove unnecessary dimensions. So the question is this fully defined, fully constrained? Well, first of all, the whole design is blue. Some lines should be black. I said in the assignment that you didn't have to worry about dimensioning every little detail because when you were doing the tracing of the car, you probably used a ton of lines, and it's just a little bit of overkill for the sake of this assignment to dimension everything. But it's really important to dimension the parts along the bottom that are going to connect to the bottom. So first thing you want to do is make sure, have you started drawing at the origin? Or do you have a point on your car that's at the origin? If not, you want to dimension to the origin. And it doesn't matter what that dimension is. It just matters that you have a dimension. So right now it says 2.67, fine. Immediately you see a couple of lines turn black right here, okay? Now that's a vertical dimension, right? But it doesn't have a horizontal dimension. So I'm going to dimension to that same point, right, from here to the origin. And it's going to be a very small horizontal dimension because it's not very far from the origin, right, in terms of left and right. It's below, but it's a couple inches below, but it's almost starting at the origin. So we would expect that dimension to be small. So we have a couple of lines that are already black and blue. Now I'm going to hit escape to turn off the dimension tool and zoom in, and I'm going to start testing my design to see if I've constrained something. Because why aren't these lines turning black? They look like they have enough dimensions. Well, let's grab this point right here and drag it down. If I can do that, that means it was not constrained. I know that this point should be aligned with this one right here. So I'm going to horizontally constrain those points. And now this one turns black. Notice this one should be aligned right here, right? And this one over here as well should be aligned, right? This line over here should be vertical. And now it's starting to look constrained. Okay, I'm going to hit escape. The circle itself has a dimension. It's a little bit lost in here. I'm going to zoom in. Oops, escape. I'm going to drag that 1.5. That's 1.5 inches in diameter, right? But notice the entire bottom of the car now has turned black, and that's good. That means that it's pretty much set in stone in terms of its size and location. I'm going to try to drag this one point, and notice that changes the location of the wheel. Okay, so I'm going to try to figure out why is that wheel blue. So what am I changing right here? I'm changing the size of the wheel. Looks like this dimension right here keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So this dimension was never set. Okay, so I need to set a dimension from here to here. Oh, I didn't even go to the corner that time. So I need a dimension from the very corner to this point. Like, what is this dimension? It used to be pretty small. I don't know what it used to be, but it needs to have a set dimension. I should not be able to drag it. Okay, so now I cannot drag this side. Can I still drag this side? It looks like I'm unable to. Inventor's going a little slow right now. If I try to change this dimension, let's see, what is it changing? 0.5. It's moving the entire car. So look at the dimension. So the 6.5 has been maintained, but this point keeps on creeping in when I change the wheel. So I don't want that to happen. So what I really should be doing is setting like this, the end of my horizontal and vertical lines before it gets all curvy and having interesting geometry. I should set a specific dimension from here to here, right? Because I don't want that dimension to change. It has to fit with the other piece. So I'm going to go back, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. I don't know exactly what this dimension should be for this person's car, but let's go put a dimension on it so you can see what I mean. Okay, this dimension needs to be locked in stone. Okay. Now, if I try to change the curvature of the wheel, which I may or may not have to do depending on what kind of wheel I'm putting in, right? It won't let me edit it, it says. Won't let me edit it. That's because this point and this point, their locations are set. Can I go bigger? Yes. I can go bigger. So 1.2, let's try to get a little smaller. It won't let me go smaller. 1.4, it won't let me go smaller. So, at that point, let's say if I messed up, maybe I have to redraw that portion of the, I have to need to remove the dimension. Sometimes you have to remove the dimension before you can remove the arc. So at this point, if I need to modify my wheel, at this point I could draw a new arc going from one side to the other, and I could put in a specific radius for that dimension, right? And if you want it to be the same as before, before it was a circle of 1.5, that's the same thing as a diameter of 0.75. Yeah, believe it or not, this circle has the same curvature as this one. All right, so the bottom line is the bottom portion of your design should be black. Now, if you're going for level 3, you should also have a rectangular piece, somewhere in here that's bracing your design. I don't know where, be careful, it could go anywhere. So after I draw that, let's see if I can, right? So I need to have a specific size, and some people are putting on their paper and pencil sketches, they're putting in a dimension, let's say 0.135 by 0.5, something like that. But then they think they're done on the paper and pencil sketch, but just because you dimension that rectangle does not mean it has a location, right? It can still move. So I still need to reference it to a black line to have a specific location, or line it up with another corner that's black. So in other words, where is this sketch? So it needs a horizontal location and a vertical location. So you could add, a vertical dimension here, but most likely you want to dimension to the very base of the car, because that's going to just be the easiest point to reference to. So if I were you, I would dimension all the way to the base and define the location this way, right? And at this point, you realize you don't go with my number. Figure out what number you need that to be. But at this point, you should realize it's still blue because it does not have a horizontal location, right? So the edge of the wheel is probably a good place to dimension to because you know where that is. So I put in a specific number here, and then, right, once you do that, it should be locked in terms of its location. This one did not turn black, I think, because the wheel itself is not black. But it definitely has a specific location in terms of the edge of the wheel.